Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome back to the channel. I want to take you back to before No Man's Sky ever came out. The hype around this game was unreal. Everybody knew about it. It was probably on the level that Cyberpunk 2077 is at right now in terms of hype, but probably not with the same budget and developers working on it that Cyberpunk has.
What we're trying to do is make an entire universe generated by the computer.
Speaking of Cyberpunk, I still have a lot of hope that it's going to live up to its hype, but we'll have to see. I'm not holding my breath. I've learned my lesson from No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky set a precedent of hype and overpromising, and people weren't happy. But after a while, I think No Man's Sky did redeem itself. So when it first launched, there were a lot of problems. Obviously, it didn't live up to people's expectations and was missing a lot of the stuff from the trailers, so you can't really blame people for getting upset about it. No Man's Sky turned into one of the most refunded games in history. But over time, I'd say they did get No Man's Sky to a really good point now, through constant updates. The first big update was the Foundation update. When somebody gets their hands on No Man's Sky, they're eventually going to think, can I build a base? And a few months after the launch, they finally released the Foundation update. This update added a ton of features, and they called it Foundation for a reason. This stuff is foundational, like for a survival game, base building, save points, farming, freighters, deploying equipment, all this stuff is huge for No Man's Sky. The next big update was the Pathfinder update, which added vehicles and a bunch of other things, but the main thing with that update was vehicles for sure. Vehicles added quite a bit to No Man's Sky, just being able to explore the planets on something other than just your jetpack or just flying around, just being able to drive. After that was the No Man's Sky ARG for the update they were releasing called Atlas Rises, and that was a really cool event, and it had thousands of viewers. I mean, overall, I think it was pretty cool for them to do something like that, and it was really hyped. There was like the Twitch stream had thousands of viewers. I restreamed it on my YouTube channel, and I actually got like 700 live viewers a couple times, and for a channel the size mine was, it was actually crazy. Anyway, this update added a lot more of a detailed story arc to the game and finally activated portals. The Atlas Rises update added low flight, which is now the default way the flight works. And you can, in my opinion, you can thank one guy for this. The dude who made the first low flight mod. This low flight mod made it so you could fly as low as you want. The trailers would show ships, flying really low, doing dangerous maneuvers, and that's how it's supposed to be. But then the game came out, and the flight system felt like it had training wheels. You couldn't even fly, I'd say like 30 feet, 20-30 feet. There'd be like an invisible force field on land and on water that just didn't let you fly near it. So that mod was massive in helping me enjoy the game more, and then it became a feature in the game. Then of course, No Man's Sky's next update. The next update was basically the one where they finally added multiplayer. Multiplayer had been promised and expected from the beginning, so when they finally added it, people were definitely happy. There was some basic multiplayer before, but it wasn't immersive, it wasn't real multiplayer. The next update added characters, character customization, and made multiplayer gameplay a lot more immersive. Like, you could actually see each other, This update also added third person, so you could fly your ship in third person or walk around planets in third person. So a mod already existed where you could fly your ship in third person because, that's one of the first things people wanted with ships. I mean, when you have a nice looking ship, you just want to check it out all the time. So of course a mod had to be made for that. And then it became a feature in the game. Another big thing this update added is asteroid rings. Obviously, these were also a mod that somebody made as well, because why would there be a space game without ringed planets? So then it was eventually added as a feature in the game. Hey, better late than never. The Beyond update was another huge milestone for the game, which added the space anomaly where up to 16 players can meet up. It's a really cool feature because for the story you're going to the anomaly quite a bit, so you actually get to run into players, see their ships, see their character customization, and it really just gives the game a feeling of like being connected or being part of a community of explorers. When the game first came out, man, it was a lonely experience, but that's how we were expecting it to be. It's a massive universe.
So that's the idea behind Beyond, is that it's these three key kind of updates that combine into one bigger whole. So one thing that's really cool is virtual reality. That's one of the big strands of this.
The Beyond update also added a lot to the story, but in my opinion the biggest thing that the Beyond update added was VR. I don't have a VR setup personally, but I've heard from many people that have tried it that it's one of the better VR games out there and that they did a good job with VR controls. I've seen some funny clips with like arms, flailing around and the animations not being the smoothest, but as far as gameplay, like the VR looks really cool, especially, inside the cockpit of vehicles and ships and things like that. So creatures you can find now could be tamed and you can ride them. Then the Exo Mech came out. That thing is pretty awesome. But a huge update I actually wasn't ever expecting to come to No Man's Sky is crossplay. I can only imagine like how much more popular this game would have been and how well received it would have been if it had crossplay and multiplayer and character customization and characters in general to begin with. When it launched, it would have been massive. Crossplay itself is something we've wanted for so long in gaming. Didn't you hate when you were kids and you had an Xbox and your friend only had a PS3, or you had an Xbox One, like the original Xbox, and your friend had a PS2, or you had a PlayStation 1 and your friend had a Nintendo? Crossplay is something we've wanted for so long in gaming, and it was never fair of these companies to keep that away from us for so long. Like, I get it, business is business, but the capability for crossplay has always been there. If there's one thing we all have to actually thank Fortnite for, it's popularizing crossplay, and now look how many games have it, as it should be. Desolation, which is an update that recently just came out, added procedurally generated derelict freighters to explore, and they look like they're pretty dangerous to go into. Also color customization for freighters, which is pretty cool because I remember wanting to customize my freighter a while back or find a different color, and I was unable to find the color I wanted in the freighter of my style that I liked. So that's a pretty cool feature there, and the ability to put a teleporter in the freighter, which is actually a huge deal and super convenient. Actually, when I first saw this trailer, I got some Warframe vibes mixed with like some Halo 1 vibes, so that was pretty cool. Definitely interesting, and it'll be good to see how they expand on this. I think they should use the same idea and add like more intricate cave systems and maybe like planetary structures, like huge procedural structures, with some hostile NPCs and things like that. It gets the mind going. I think it's a cool idea, and they could add a lot to the game in terms of replayability and exploration.
It sounds like the game design that a child would make, right? And I think it is. I take it as a compliment. I think that's fine. Because I think actually so many of our fans have said this, and so many of the team would say this. This is the kind of game that they've wanted to make since they were kids, or the kind of game that they wanted to play. Most of us had played, you know, just some 2D side scroller when we were kids, and thought, why can't I just go through that wall or go out that door or get in a spaceship and fly off or whatever, right? You know, not wanting those boundaries. So I guess a lot of us have had that idea in our mind, and it wasn't just my idea, it's something that we as a team have talked about for years, you know. It just required a certain level of stupidity to launch into that, you know, to think it was an idea we should actually pursue.
So what do I think the future of No Man's Sky looks like? Well, if they keep up this pace of updates, it really seems like they're on the right track. I think No Man's Sky is here to stay, and the ambitions they've had for No Man's Sky were massive. Like, they truly shot for the moon and they went for it. And if you look at the past of Hello Games, like, it's pretty clear No Man's Sky is the actual passion project, and you know, the other games they made were sort of like stepping stones to allow them to do what they actually wanted to do, which is make No Man's Sky. The future of No Man's Sky looks solid. I think it's going to be here for a long time. They plan on adding a lot to the game, and until it reaches to the point, I think they're going to keep adding to it until it reaches to the point that they imagined before it ever launched. I want you to keep in mind that not one of these updates they released cost a dime for the players. So that means they haven't really made any income on these updates besides selling more copies of the game. You know, they all came out for free, and as far as I know, the content that's still planned will be free as well. And even if they did release an update or an expansion that costs money, I believe players would support them, and the amount of updates they've given out for free, like, it's more than fair for them to consider paid DLCs or paid expansions. I'd only support this though still if it was actually worth the money and worth paying for. So yeah, in my opinion, keep an eye on No Man's Sky. It's probably going to keep improving, and if not, the amount they've done is already very respectable. It's more than most companies have done in terms of like free updates and really trying to live up to their word and making up for mistakes in the past. I feel like they definitely had a point to prove and a chip on their shoulder after that rough launch, and they definitely proved that they care about No Man's Sky. They care about the community, and they really do want to make the game of our dreams. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that little trip down memory lane. It was really cool making this video and watching all the old interviews and, you know, feeling all the old feelings that I felt back then and how excited I was. I appreciate you guys, especially if you watched the whole thing. It really means a lot to me. And stay tuned for some really cool announcements coming soon. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like, all that stuff. Anyways, take care, love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.